Hello and welcome to GeoCrisis Update. Today, we are covering a significant development in the ongoing Israel-Hamas conflict. The Israeli Defense Forces, or IDF, have confirmed the death of Yahya Sinwar, a top Hamas leader. Sinwar was widely regarded as one of the most influential figures in Hamas, both as a political and military leader. His death is seen as a critical moment in this conflict, potentially reshaping the dynamics in Gaza and the broader region. Yahya Sinwar, born in 1962 in Khan Yunis, Gaza, was not just any leader. He was a founding member of the Izz ad-Din al-Qassam Brigades, the military wing of Hamas, and a central figure in the group's militant operations for decades. Sinwar spent over 2 decades in Israeli prisons for orchestrating attacks on Israeli soldiers and civilians. However, he was released in 2011 during the Gilad Shalit prisoner exchange, a decision that would have long-lasting consequences for the region. His return to Gaza symbolized a revival of Hamas' hardline military policies, as he quickly ascended to a leadership position within the organization. Sinwar's leadership within Hamas had always been defined by his militant approach. Unlike some of Hamas political leaders who were willing to consider negotiations and ceasefires with Israel, Sinwar advocated for sustained resistance, using both military and guerrilla tactics. His influence extended beyond Gaza, impacting Hamas relations with regional actors, including Egypt, Iran, and Qatar. These countries have provided financial and logistical support to Hamas, enabling the organization to maintain its activities despite numerous Israeli attempts to neutralize its leadership. The IDF's confirmation of Sinwar's death comes amid escalating tensions. The recent weeks have seen unprecedented violence, with Hamas launching rocket attacks deep into Israeli territory, followed by Israeli airstrikes targeting Hamas infrastructure in Gaza. Sinwar's role in orchestrating and supporting these attacks cannot be understated. He was viewed as one of the key figures driving Hamas' military response, and his death raises critical questions about the group's future strategy. Sinwar's elimination could have far-reaching consequences for the organization. On one hand, his death might create a leadership vacuum within Hamas. Internal struggles for control could emerge, with various factions vying for influence. Hamas leadership is already divided between the political bureau, led by figures like Ismail Haniyeh, and the military wing, of which Sinwar was an influential figure. The loss of a strong, unifying leader like Sinwar may weaken Hamas' ability to maintain cohesion and operational effectiveness. On the other hand, Sinwar's death could trigger a violent escalation. Hamas has, in the past, responded to the targeted killings of its leaders with increased rocket fire and attacks on Israeli targets. The group may seek to retaliate forcefully to demonstrate that Sinwar's death has not weakened its resolve. This raises the specter of an even more intense round of violence, with the potential for further civilian casualties on both sides. As the situation unfolds, it's important to understand the broader geopolitical context. Hamas operates not only as a militant organization but also as a political entity within Gaza. The group's control of Gaza's political landscape gives it significant influence over the population, but it also faces pressure from other factions within the Palestinian resistance. Groups like Islamic Jihad, which often cooperate with Hamas but also maintain their own agenda, could seek to take advantage of any instability resulting from Sinwar's death. Moreover, the international response to Sinwar's death will be critical. Israel has justified its military actions by emphasizing its right to self-defense in the face of ongoing rocket attacks, but international actors, including the United Nations, European Union, and the United States, are urging for restraint and a return to negotiations. Yahya Sinwar's death may complicate these efforts, as both sides become more entrenched in their positions. The humanitarian situation in Gaza is another pressing concern. As Israeli airstrikes continue to target Hamas infrastructure, including tunnels, weapons depots, and military compounds, Sinwar's death could further escalate these conditions, as Hamas might respond with renewed intensity, and Israel could increase its military operations to prevent further rocket attack. The question now becomes, what comes next? Can Hamas maintain its operational strength without Sinwar, or will his death trigger internal strife within the organization? Will Israel continue its military campaign to target other Hamas leaders, or will international pressure push for a ceasefire? And how will Gaza's population, already suffering from years of blockade, conflict, and economic hardship, cope with the aftermath of Sinwar's death? Yahya Sinwar's legacy within Hamas is one of violence, resistance, and defiance. His hardline approach to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict has been a defining feature of Hamas' strategy over the last decade. Whether his death will lead to a de-escalation of violence or ignite even greater turmoil remains to be seen. However, the broader implications of Sinwar's death may not be limited to Gaza alone. This event could ripple across the region, impacting the delicate balance of power in the Middle East. Neighboring countries, particularly Egypt and Jordan, both of which have historically played key roles in mediating between Israel and Palestinian factions, may now be thrust into more prominent diplomatic positions. Egypt, in particular, has been instrumental in brokering past ceasefires between Israel and Hamas, and with Sinwar gone, Cairo's role may become even more crucial as it seeks to prevent further destabilization at its doorstep. Furthermore, Sinwar's death might also embolden other militant groups in the region. Hezbollah, for instance, which has close ties to Hamas and Iran, may see this as an opportunity to intensify its activities along Israel's northern border. Any escalation involving Hezbollah would draw Lebanon into the conflict and increase tensions across multiple fronts, creating a more volatile situation for the entire region. Iran's involvement in this equation cannot be overlooked. As a primary supporter of Hamas, Iran might use this opportunity to provide more material support to the group, positioning itself as the primary backer of Palestinian resistance. This could increase tensions between Israel and Iran, further complicating the situation and potentially drawing in international actors, including the United States. As we consider these potential scenarios, it's clear that Sinwar's death is not just a blow to Hamas but could also shift the dynamics of power and conflict in the Middle East. Whether this results in further escalation or opens up diplomatic channels remains to be seen, but what is certain is that the region is entering an even more uncertain and dangerous phase. GeoCrisis Update will continue to follow these developments closely, bringing you the latest news and analysis as this situation evolves. Be sure to subscribe to our channel for in-depth coverage of global conflicts, including this ongoing crisis in Gaza. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below. How do you think the death of Yahya Sinwar will affect the broader conflict between Israel and Hamas? Will it lead to a power struggle within Hamas, or will it fuel further violence? We'd love to hear your insights. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in our next update.